Welcome back to the Growth Over Goals podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Montgomery, and today I get to sit down with two of my dearest friends, Brandon and Jenni Scherff. I've walked with Brandon and Jenni for several years now through different seasons, and the reality is there's a lot that we could talk about. There's different topics that we could delve into. But I told Brandon and Jenni, the thing that I want them to shine a light on is raising kids and keeping a family unit and living by faith, because they have a really unique family story. I don't want to steal their thunder. I'm going to let them share their story, but their story includes adoption. It includes a season of infertility. It includes major transition. It includes dealing with and managing success in a large platform. It deals with boundaries and setting expectation for all the many people that want to be a part of their lives and a part of their circle. And it certainly deals with making bold decisions for Jesus and stewarding gifts. And so, Brandon and Jenni, you've been such wonderful friends. I do want to give our listeners context to a little bit of your journey, because I know you're not going to share, and I think this part's important. You lived in multiple cities over the past decade. You're now back in Iowa. God bless the Hawkeye State, where you are both from, and you live in Rock Valley, Iowa. But before that, you were in Jacksonville as Brandon was wrapping up his career in the NFL with the Jaguars. And before that, you were technically in Virginia, but playing with the Washington Commanders. And Brandon had a decorated football career that included, I think, 5 Pro Bowl seasons. And I know football has been a part of your story, but it's a small part of your story that's ultimately opened a lot of doors. But I do think you guys have managed and navigated success. You've navigated transition. Brandon, I want to speak this into you and over you. You are so much more than a football player. I think people are going to know that and hear that today. All of that said, welcome to the show, Brandon and Jenni Scherff. Thanks for being here.
What an honor. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
I told you offline, it's going to be hard not to just cut it up and laugh with you guys. Because that's what we do. We're sitting in your living room or at your kitchen table, like we so often have. But I don't want to get right into it, because I know the two of you are living on mission and impact. And I think about the way that you've protected your family in multiple seasons where there's so much coming at you and so many people pulling on you. And if you're listening to this show and you're thinking, well, I can't relate. Like I haven't dealt with infertility. I don't know. I don't have an adoption story. I didn't manage a significant platform. Well, maybe you've got 5 kids in different activities, or maybe you're a single parent listening to this today, or maybe you don't even have kids. You're like, man, I hope one day God has that for me. Like that I'm thinking about raising a family. I'd like to be able to do that one day. I think there's a lot of wisdom that Brandon and Jenni have to share. So again, I don't want to steal your thunder, but could you just share a little bit more about some of your family dynamics? And Jenni, I'm going to let you kick us off. And
let her have it.
Tell us about the Scherff family.
We have a blended family. So we have a 8-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and then we have, in addition to our family, we have Madeline as well. She's a 22-year-old that we get to love on, and she loves on our home. She loves on our babies. She prays over our family and our crew. She's like our house.
She's everything. She's amazing.
She's incredible. And so are our babies. And I'd say like the biggest thing as far as dynamics go for us is, I would say, just make sure you're rooted. One thing we really try to hit home with our kids is knowing where our identity lies. Our identity will always proceed with where our identity lies. That's where our behavior will go. So I always use the analogy with our kids, like when you see behavior, get curious, because usually when you see the behavior, there's something deeper going on. And that's to get to the root of like, hey, like, am I struggling with a lie from the enemy? Am I struggling with just doubt or insecurity that has crept in? Am I struggling with an unhealed wound? Am I struggling with an insecurity because I don't feel prepared or equipped to tackle whatever it is? Because we always say, like, we want our kids to do hard things. We want to put them in situations that, like, yeah, like they're going to get uncomfortable. Like, get comfortable getting uncomfortable, because the Bible never called us to be comfortable. And so we try and position our home in that way. And it's just I feel like been a blessing to love our kids, our dynamic in that way. Would you?
I would agree 100%. Yep.
Brandon, I'm going to have you share this about Jenni, because I think, Jenni, your role is really unique. I think a lot of people sort of understand Brandon's role, at least from afar, right? They can kind of understand, okay, football player, and I'm sure he had to do this and do that, but I'm not sure everybody's totally in tune with your role. Jenni's got the real job. So Brandon, I'd love for you just to share a little bit about how Jenni's lived out her days the last 10 years and the impact that she's had.
She's my wife. She is the most amazing mother to our children. She's the most amazing role model to me and our kids. She takes care of our home nonstop, 24/7. She makes sure that everything is in line from this. She's got an agenda ready. And if I didn't have her in my life the last 10 years, I would be lost. I don't know where I would be. She is the most incredible woman I've ever met in my entire life. And I don't know why God put her in my life, but I'm so thankful that he did. So she's done it all through injuries. She's been my caretaker. She's, oh man, taking me to surgeries, brought me home, flown down to Virginia. We adopted our 4-year-old. So we went through adoption. I thought that's part of our story is adoption. Our 4-year-old, we adopted her when she was 1 day old. Jenni flew down there for a week to adopt Baylor and to make sure that all the papers came through. And she took care of that side while I took care. She made sure that our home front was taken care of while I was still able to, to work and play football. She's just incredible. And I'm just so thankful that God put her into my life, and I couldn't imagine my life without her.
Well, Jenni, I do want to echo that you've been really steadfast. And, when I think about you, when I think about both of you, I think about the word intentionality. You've just lived with great intention in different seasons, and you've managed to keep the main thing. And I want to get practical about that, because I think it's one thing for somebody to talk about staying grounded or following Jesus or navigating transition, but like there's some really intentional decisions that you've made. We were joking about mellow yellow days, Brandon and I, the other day. There's some things that your family has done and continues to do that are really unique, but it's like life by design with great intention. So, Jenni, I'd love for you just to share a little bit about like, how have you kept the family unit together in this crazy season of transition?
I mean, I would say the big thing is like I worked in the service industry for 13 years. Whenever you work in the service industry, like you are on mission, like you are serving, you are surrendering, you are just laying yourself out there every time, regardless of the criticism that you're going to get. I mean, you go to a restaurant, you always hear somebody complaining about the service, the food, the quality of anything. And so when that is so deeply ingrained in you from an early age on up, I just brought those principles into our home. I said, I was like, one of our big non-negotiables was setting our home up for success the next day. So we never went to bed without shutting the kitchen. I always call it like shutting the kitchen down. So kids have to pick up their toys. Like, let's set out, like, do you have clothes that you need to set out for the next day? Is there like a big event coming up that weekend that we need to do some small prep? So it's not like come Friday when everybody's showing up with visitors coming in, that it wasn't like on Thursday night, I'm scrambling, going to groceries, cleaning the house, doing all these things. It was like, no, let's spread this out. Let's not do this in 24 hours and cause our nervous system to just be maxed out. It's like Jesus never lived in a maxed out nervous system. He walked wherever he went. He never sprinted. He never ran. And so how do you bring that into your home? It's you slow everything down, especially when you have kids. Like our society is like, let's speed up. Let's do all the things. Let's go, go, go. And it's like, whoa, actually, like, have you ever seen a toddler try and put on her shoes? No, like it is so slow and it's so intentional, and they're thinking through everything. And it's like, that's the posture that we need to carry through in our home. And so it's when you slow down, that helps a lot. And then a big thing for us was we call them mellow yellow weekends. We started every quarter when we were in the league.
I love this, by the way. So if you're listening, this is this is important.
Yeah. So our mellow yellow weekends, I don't even know how we were talking about that last night. Like we never know how we got to mellow yellow, but we
I think it
started.
was in Washington. I think we started in Washington.
Yeah. It was probably the season we hosted like every single weekend, like of the year. I think we hosted 26 weekends out of the year we brought Baylor home. And it was then that season where I was like, SOS, this is a lot. And we need to, not that these aren't great things and these connections and community, because like if you know us, you know relationships are a really big deal to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but I was like, I need a moment of pause. Not that I need to like scrap what we're doing, throw it away, throw the plan away. It was like, I need a pause. And so we came up with Mellow Yellow. And it's a weekend where we don't host, we don't go anywhere, we don't do anything, we don't put anything on our schedule. I prep for this weekend, so I make sure our fridge is stocked, our meals are prepped. So that way, when it comes to the weekend, say we want to take our kids to the zoo, we can take our kids to the zoo. It's pruning away and creating margin so you can like refuel. And it's like we are in a society where it's just take, 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 take. Like, how can I consume? I'm gonna like social media in general. Like, how can I scroll? How can I consume more content? How can I get through this as fast as I can so I can absorb all this knowledge? Well, if you're just absorbing, where's the integration? And if you are not creating margin, you are not integrating. And so, but in order to create margin, you have to prune away. You have to cut things. You have to put in, like, I come from a farming background. Like, you have to put in your gate. You have to have that gate where it's like, okay, majority of the time, like, go out to pasture, go have fun, like, go do all the things, go serve, go be on mission with your family, go grind, do the grit. Like even with Brandon, like his 5 a.m. mornings, I was like, this is insane. Like I got up today for the first time at 5 a.m. and I was like, I don't know how you did this for a decade. Like, I don't know. And I'm so grateful you did. And it's like, but then there's also the season in Mellow Yellow where it's like, I'm closing my gate. I need a minute to just like go back. I want time. I want time in my Bible. I want time with connection, intentionality with my husband. Like, hey, how's your heart posture this week? How am I praying over you this week? How am I loving? How are we going to love and steward our kids this week? What are our kids struggling with? What are they wrestling with?
But you set those up before, like
Yes. So in a year,
when we go over the calendar, we pick a weekend out. Like it could be January. We're already picking that weekend out for December.
Yep.
And if somebody asks, "What do you have this week?" Oh, we're busy.
Like he laughs at me. I make him. We drove to Iowa City last weekend. It's like
We did. Yeah, we drove to Iowa City and we did a audit for this year's audit of our life, or of our 2025 marriage, physical, or marriage or fitness. It was
Finances.
66 finances. It was 66 questions. It took 2.5 hours.
I knew I was going to have my husband in the car for 5.5 hours by myself.
She got me.
No children in my car. So I made a list of questions to go over with my husband because time stands still in the car. And you get time where it's like, hey, I get to like, you're not going anywhere. You can't run away from these questions. Like you have to sit in this with me. So I curated some questions. And because I was like, we're headed into the new year, every new year, we always do like, we pick a word for the year. Like, what do we both want personally? What do we both want? Instead of having like a New Year's resolution, like, what are we going to gear ourselves towards? So like one year we did intentionality. Like and that's what we gear our studies on. So it's like, what are we reading in the Bible? Like, how was the Bible, like people in the Bible, how did they live intentionally? The courses we listen to, the people, the podcasts, like we kind of like curate a year over a word. And then we do that for our family as well. And so it just helps kind of guide your family a little bit too, where it's like, hey, I'm not just like jumping into this year and like, I just want to get better at my health. Okay, but what do you want to do better about your health? And then what are those goals you're going to put up so that you can succeed long term? And then same thing goes, it's like your spiritual life. Like, what are you doing there? What are you doing? Like even emotions, like another great quiz you can make your people do. I made them do an emotional evaluation on date night last, 2 weeks ago?
I love it.
Yeah.
So good. And it's just things like that. It's like, okay, get curious. Like, and it was funny. Like we got to sit there and like go over like this is
She's more emotionally stable than I am.
But we just Well, and we were like, it just creates awareness and like living
Mm,
intentionally. Like when we went through that year, it was all about awareness. Like
mm,
when you're living intention, it's like, okay, take inventory of what you have, take inventory of your patterns, your behaviors, how are you walking? And are you seeing fruit from your walk? Are you seeing like,
mm,
hey, like somebody planted seeds in me, like, are these taking root? And it's
mm,
just like, and then another big thing for us is your anchors. Like, who are your anchors? Who are the people
mm,
anchoring you? You and Ross both came into our life in the same season where we
mm.
both looked at each other and we were like, uh-oh, we have a lot on our plate. We were hosting almost every single weekend, if not,
Every weekend from Tuesday. We'd pick people
Mm.
up. We'd pick people up at the airport on Friday night and drop them off on Tuesday and have Wednesday and Thursday to switch the
church,
house over,
regroup,
church, regroup, and do it
groceries, and
again.
do it
Mm,
again.
And then that's where the
mm,
boundaries came in line. So
Mhm.
mm,
But it's making sure you have those anchors. And so we were really intentional in that season of like,
mm,
I think Brandon reached out to you. We found a financial team to just really help us walk out our portfolio. We found it was the first time I had ever been discipled. It was the most cool experience I had ever experienced. And we learned really quickly that it's like if you don't have those people helping you, because it's like you can drive your ship. That's awesome.
mm.
But if you don't have the things that are helping hold you steady when life does come crashing, because we met you right before, I think you met us right before Bay,
Mm. Yep.
right?
That's
I'm
right.
pretty sure
Yeah.
Bay had just come home from the hospital when you were in our home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
You
That's it.
you got to experience like real life.
Yeah.
And it was just such a life-giving experience where it was like when I was exhausted, just burnt out. I mean, one of you ran to the
Mm.
grocery store for me. One of you were like playing with
Mm.
Easton and making sure his bucket. I'm pretty sure I was like, I just need one of you to just wrestle him. I was like, you can
Mm.
throw him on the couch. You can do whatever you need. But I'm like, he was in practice and meetings. And I was like, I just need, and it just makes such a difference when those anchor people can walk alongside you and you can deputize
Mm.
them and be like, hey, I need you to pour into my family in this way. Like
Mm.
I need you to help me in this way. And that takes a humble heart posture, which like he models
Mm.
that so well, like his humility of just like, hey, like I'm not going to do this by myself anymore. And it really
So good.
like took a big turn for us that year we met you. And it was just like, God was like, hey, you need people. You need to
Mm.
here they are right here.
I just want y'all to hear, like, I remember the first conversation I had with Brandon over the phone. And I remember walking away from that conversation and thinking, like, we didn't really talk about anything professional. Like, it was really nothing about football, nothing about mindset or performance or even leadership at work. It was all about leading well at home. And a lot of the questions and the conversation was centered around marriage and parenting. And I remember having a conversation with Ashley being like, I just really enjoyed my conversation with Brandon. That's just really different. And then I remember the first time in your home in Virginia, I'll never forget this. It was a Monday night football game. And after the game, Ross and I went back to the house. And I guess in my mind, I thought, game just ended. Like, we'll go hang out with Brandon and Jenni and have some drinks and eat some food or whatever. And it's late, right? But I remember Brandon got home and started picking up the house. And then we didn't see you for like an hour. I don't know. I think you were like talking to the kids and helping the kids. And then I remember another time in Jacksonville, I started to kind of get the memo that like, hey, if Brandon's home, we're not the priority. Like the family's the priority, even if we're in the home. And that was an afternoon game. And we got back to the house. And again, I'm thinking like, oh yeah, like we get to hang out. And we hung out with Jenni because Brandon put the kids to bed. And I remember like your priority was putting the kids to bed. It wasn't entertaining people in your home. And I just remember thinking that's so unique and different, especially for men. I think a lot of men struggle with, I worked hard today. I deserve it. I earn it. I'm going to sit on the couch. This is, I got guys in my home. I mean, you had every reason to kind of pull the guy card, but I've watched you honor Jenni in those moments as well. So Brandon, I guess I want to turn it to you, man. And I know it's odd to ask someone with humility to speak about their humility, but I want to know, I don't know if I've ever really asked you this. where does that come from? Like the soft heart and your willingness to serve. Like I don't know if I've ever really slowed down enough to be that direct with that kind of a question.
Oh, I mean, for me, football was my job, but being the best husband and the best father that I can be is also my job. I was blessed to have an amazing job, but I love hanging out with my wife and I love hanging out with my kids. So any chance that I can spend with them, I'm going to take advantage of. And I'm not going to sit on the couch and watch my wife clean up after everybody when I know that I can do. We always talk about the more hands, the less work. You know what I mean? So if I can take something off of her plate, then I know that she's going to be able to rest well as well. And I know she's been around the kids the whole day. So anytime that I can give her a little break to calm down or just to relax, I'll go up and fall asleep with the kids. It doesn't, I mean, I love doing that. If I get a couple extra hours of sleep, sign me up. But I remember when Easton was little, I'd go up, I'd steal him and go rock with him. And when he was sleeping, everybody talks about prioritizing film. I'd take my iPad up, and when he fell asleep, then I would rock with him and I'd watch my film up there while I was snuggling with him. So, I mean, I would just, trying to take care of my home front, because if they're thriving, then we're all thriving. You know what I mean? So, and
Yeah.
here's another one. I had a buddy ask me, he goes, you're a big deer hunter, and this is your first year off. You only sat in the stand like 5 times. I says, well, yeah, we just moved into a new house. Our whole garage was packed. No, the first 2 weeks of November is prime deer hunting. And that's what I was waiting for. But it just happens that, we moved into the house at the same time. And I said, I want to enjoy more than one deer hunting season. He goes, what do you mean? I said, if I left the garage the way it was with all of that stuff and I was sitting in a tree stand and my wife was unpacking it, she would probably kill me and I wouldn't be able to enjoy next deer season. So I know there's deer season's always going to come around, but this is the only house I plan on moving in the rest of my life. So just making sure my home front's taken care of so that if I'm enjoying myself, I know that they're enjoying themselves too.
Man, that's wisdom. That's wisdom. And I like that you're trying to keep deer hunting alive and well for many years to come.
Oh, I love deer hunting, but I know that I'm not going to enjoy if I'm sitting in a tree stand. That's where I get all my quiet. I mean, I love sitting there doing absolutely nothing. That's Jenny says that I'm, she's challenging me to level down, because I'm here, there, everywhere. I'm at a level 5 now. I'm at a level 4.5.
Tell them the stairs that we talked about last night.
Oh, so we have stairs. When you walk up the stairs, they light up for the kids. And she says, yeah,
I set it to standard pace, like what the average human pace is. And I was walking too fast.
And I says, yeah, I just try to race them up there as fast as I can.
And I was like, we are 2 different humans. Like, I'm over here trying to slow down our cadence, really recalibrate as a family. And he's over here just sprinting the steps. Like, he's trying to race, because it goes at this slow ascended pace as you walk up. And it's like, he's sprinting to try and keep up. And I was like, what are you doing? That's not slowing down. That's staying at gear 5.
Yeah. You guys are so good for each other. So here's the deal. If somebody said to me, what sets the two of you apart, or what makes you a great example for people to follow, back to that question, I know where it comes from. Brandon, so I asked you the question, where does your soft heart and humility come from? I think it's this. I think you know who you are and you know whose you are. And I think it's as simple as that. And you've been a great example for so many. For Ashley and I, there's been times where it's like, hey, Brandon and Jenni are doing this, or I had this conversation with Brandon and Jenni, here's something we need to be thinking about, or we should adopt as a rhythm or an exercise in our home. And so I just felt it really appropriate, if we're going to spend time together, to talk about the thing that you model so well, which isn't just faith, but it's living out faith in your home. I want to go here before we sign off. You are back in Rock Valley. How big is Rock Valley? For listeners, Rock Valley is how many people?
2 stoplights, 3,600 people.
Tiny.
So what a
no
crazy
DoorDash,
life.
no Ubers.
One tiny grocery store, minimal. There's like one fast food restaurant, maybe.
Everything's closed on Sunday except for Dollar General.
Yeah.
You cannot mow your lawn. I learned that. That's work. You're not supposed to work on Sundays,
Sabbath.
Don't work on
which
Sundays.
I love. I love it.
It's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you go from this big life in Florida, like close to the beach, again, this sort of 10-year career in the NFL, like all this stuff, this noise and people around you and all that you have to, and now you're back in Rock Valley, 2 stoplights, the Dollar General.
Sign me
And
up.
life is now slower. So I know the answer to some of this, but I think people are probably curious, like, how are they spending their time? What are they doing? Like, what does life look like for the Scherff family back in Rock Valley, Iowa?
Well, walking in the mornings and then getting our physical activity done before the kids wake up. She worked out this morning at 5:45. I got to sleep in a little bit. When she got home, I went for a 4-mile walk this morning with my dogs, and then cooked breakfast for the kids, and we started homeschooling. So we homeschool in the morning, and then go to different meetings if we need to. But we're homeschooling Easton, our 8-year-old, and then Baylor, our 4-year-old, and just living life, just going where the wind takes us. Some days we might go to Sioux Falls, some days we might go to Okoboji to the farm, but just pretty much just doing whatever we want to do and just being free. What's the word that you call it?
Breezy.
Breezy. We're being breezy.
Being breezy. I asked Jenni,
Yeah.
Brandon, you weren't there. I think Ross and I were sitting with Jenni after one of your games. And I said, Jenni, this is all about to come to an end. Like football is about to be over and your lives are about to completely change and you're going to move back to Iowa. And I said, Jenni, I don't know if you remember this. I said, what is the thing you're looking forward to the most? And she said, I look forward to worshiping with my husband on Sundays.
Yep.
And whew, I'm so excited for where God has the two of you. And, Brandon, I remember talking to you the other day about your role as teacher, to your kids in homeschool and
Yeah.
how you're taking
I think I'm learning more than he is.
Well,
I should probably go back to 2nd grade.
You communicated to me in so many words, like, man, that role is so much more special to you and important than playing right guard, for the Jaguars. And
For sure. When we're driving down the road and all of a sudden he reads a sign that has big words, I'm like, oh man, I taught him that. That's all. I'm doing good. I'm doing all right.
Well done, man. Well done.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I need to know before we sign off. I'm just gonna say this here on the show with the two of you present. I'm really pressing you guys, and I know you want to be really prayerful and thoughtful and discerning about when and how this happens. But I do feel like there's so much that you have to share, and there's so much wisdom that you have to give, and I think God is going to continue to call you into spaces and places to share and to teach and to lead, and to be an example. What do you feel like God is teaching you in this season, having gone through this crazy transition? Here you are back in Iowa. What's God put on your heart? What's he teaching you in this season?
Oh, what's he teaching me this season? For sure, it's to slow down. Because football is, the last 10 years, it was get up at 5:00 in the morning and I'm busy until 7:30, and then I put the kids down and I'm busy. So 5:00 till 10:00. And so I think it's being, like we talked about, just slowing down and just appreciating the blessings that he's given us, like just being able to slow down and see what he's blessed us with. Like it's unbelievable when you actually can just enjoy the gifts that he's given you and use those gifts. Like right now we're shopping for people who don't have the things that we have, and it's pretty incredible to be able to do that and to bless other people with what he's given us. So
yeah, I would just like to piggyback off that. It's just, I think we're in a season of recalibration. Anytime you go through transition in general, you're going to recalibrate. And so take inventory, like look at all the things, what went well and also what didn't go well. Like, I think it's so easy in our culture to just focus on all the negative that happened in a season instead of just focusing on like, oh, like for us, like people always say like, oh, you're infertility. And it's like, oh, you can focus on all the bad things of infertility, but you can also look at like, okay, hey God, like what did you teach us in that season? In that season, we walked through our foster and adoption classes. And it's like when you walk through those classes, like we became better humans, better parents, all that because of the tools and the skills that we were able to add to our personal toolbox of like, hey, these are things God wanted to remind in us. And I think it just leads into, it's like not every opportunity is our assignment.
Mm,
And
it's good.
so I think we're so,
Yeah.
I think especially for us for so many years, we just said yes because we could. I'm a big plate person. I love me some food. I love me some food. I will fill that plate completely full. I will fill it full. If there is margin or room, I will fill it full. Same thing with our schedule. That's why we had to create Mellow Yellow, because we were filling our schedule, all good things. It wasn't just the bad. I think there was so much good. And that's also how Satan can derail us, is by filling our schedule with really, really, really good things. And so when you go through recalibration, you have to prune away and you have to take a minute to just pause and be like, okay, God, like, is this from you? And it's like, once you know your identity, you can be like, yes, this is where he's calling me to operate and move. Or no, actually, this is a great opportunity, which I mean, like you've tried to get us to come on this for how many years? And it was
Yeah.
like every time I was like, yeah, that's a hard pass. Like, yeah, that's a hard pass.
He was just licking his chops for this year.
Yeah. And I just said, and like finally it came a point where it's like we had the margin to be able to slow down enough to be like, hey, like we would love to be a part of this. Like we'd love to just kind of share some things that we've walked. And like we always say, like we don't ever want to just mirror that like everything was perfect. And
It's far from it.
it's far from it. And I mean, the women, especially the women in Jacksonville, like they know, like they walked one of our hardest seasons was in Jacksonville, especially transitioning from DC there. We had brought Bay home. She was in a big flare. Easton was transitioning, all the things. We had new rhythms, new dynamics, new coaching,
moving.
If you live in DC, you understand the traffic to
Hot, really hot.
Like you were dealing with so many different dynamics. And it was just like, if I wouldn't have said no to so many things leading into that season, God would not have been able to bring the women that I needed in my life in that season to steward, mentor me, anchor me, challenge me. I think that was like a big thing, is just like really finding those people that can help you stay on assignment and stay on mission.
So good. Yeah, I think from the outside looking in, it appears as though your family has said yes to everything, right? Because you think about the community impact and outreach and your involvement in your church and the many, many relationships that the two of you have. What I know, because I've been behind the scenes, is that you're able to do a lot of those really important, impactful things because you said no to everything else. And sure. I said this the other day in a conversation with a friend. I heard this from a mentor years ago. He said, if you're not saying no to really good things, you're not saying no enough. And so I've watched you sacrifice and say no to a lot of really good things so you can say yes to what matters most. I want to share two pieces of scripture this morning. I wrote this down because I think it speaks to the two of you in your obedience and how you're choosing to live life. But Luke 12:48 says, to whom's been given much, much is required. To whom's been entrusted with much, much more will be asked. And then I think about Psalm 23 verses 1 and 2. You know, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures and leads me beside still waters. And I've watched you yield to the Lord's plan for your life and move at a certain pace. And proud of you for that. And I've also watched you steward your gifts in a way that's God honoring and others focused. And so I'm better for knowing you. This podcast community is better for having heard part of your story. We might run this back. I'm going to pull on you guys again. In fact, the next ask is going to be the event in Iowa City with Brandon and Jenni live and in person. So that's coming. That's coming. It's coming. It's coming. But I want to let you have the final word before we sign off. Is there anything else you want to share about your story, faith, family, any final words that you want to leave our listeners with?
Oh,
I got one for you.
Okay.
Proverbs 27, 23. And it says, know well the condition of your flock and give the attention to your herds. And so I think we are so prone as a society to just go do all the things. And we forget to manage our home front. We forget to manage the flock God had placed in your home, in your care, and take inventory of that. This week, just be mindful of, I'd say just be mindful of the behaviors in your home. Be mindful of the patterns that you're seeing. Be mindful of what's coming up. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it showing fruit? And then lean into what God is calling you in that. Because that's where he will reveal really, really big things to you.
That's a mic drop. I think for so many of us, we think about leadership or discipleship in the context of like people in our community or people at work or clients or, and it's like, man, God's given you an assignment to disciple the people inside your home, your children, to lead your family well. Brandon and I have spent some time, talking about that. And to that end, Jenni, and I think you've done an amazing job of this. You specifically is like, I think there's teaching and leading your kids, but in order to do that well, you have to get to know your kids. And I think you guys have done a really, really good job of continuing to get to know your children. So thanks for being a great example. Thanks for your time, for finally, after all these years, saying yes to the podcast. I remember the first ask, by the way. Brandon's usually good to respond. You're both good communicators. But the first ask, Brandon just didn't respond.
I'm getting better.
You're getting a lot better. You got a little more time than you used to, So
I know.
Listen, I love you guys. I appreciate you so much. I'm so grateful for our friendship and continue to be inspired by you, learn from you, and hopefully a lot of good conversations ahead of us for many years to come. Thanks for
When's the Iowa City one?
Well, we got to work on the date. I'll talk to Jenni about those details, Brandon.
I think I got a mellow yellow weekend that weekend.
Well, I'm going to go to the boss and I'll talk to her about the calendar.
Sounds good to me.
Love you guys. Thanks for
being
here.
Thank you.
This has been another episode of the Growth Over Goals podcast. I'm your host, Jordan Montgomery, and I want to say thanks again for being with us today. Thanks again to John Choate and his team at Storyline Multimedia for all that they do behind the scenes to make these episodes go. Be well, be great. Have an amazing day.